All right, hey folks, we're going to continue working on Spelljammer Combat and Exploration artwork today. Let me check my signal here, make sure that I'm coming through okay, and then we'll get to work on this thing. So, mic check, 1 2 3. Mic check, 1 2 3. Hey, that sounds like me. All right. Let's see. Beep beep beep. I'm gonna press some buttons. I'm gonna move into blue sky, I think, because I have not had any add-ons in Twitter for well over 2 months now. So I think for people that are interested in RPGs, Twitter is effectively dead. So I don't think I'm going to be investing time there in the future. We'll launch a Blue Sky account and see where that leads us to. See if there's more people biting out there. But the Discord's community continue to do really well for me. Reddit, thanks a lot, guys, for being involved in what we do. My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I've been focusing attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here for the past, well, since the release of Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. Wizards of the Coast created the Guildmaster's Guide. It was a crossover between Magic the Gathering lore with Dungeons & Dragons mechanics, and sadly there were no color mechanics at all about color mana. So that's what got me started on working on Homebrew in 5th edition, and people liked it, so I kept making more stuff. There's a slew of different books I've created at this point down in the description down below that you can check out if you are interested in learning more about work I've done previously. We got a Discord channel as well that we have linked down here. We should have a link, Discord community. That Discord community link is not updated. You can go to my Patreon actually right now, and if you look at the About link, it'll give you the current Discord channel, so you can do that. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, get notifications of when we're live in the future. Here's our full list playback for all of the 318 episodes of us building this thing. So let's see where we are. We're doing page dressing and cleanups. We're integrating artwork into the pages that we built. Here's a page we've built. Here's some artwork we've done. Let's see if I can get these things to just to mesh a little bit more cleanly. And that's our dab of space. Let's put these things together. So like I said, we're just doing some dressing up right now. Mostly just blending these environments together. See how things pan out here. So we're just going through the book from back to forward. From front to back, dropping in these little page embellishments, I think is what I'm calling them. So I was looking at elf ships because my intention. What is actually going on with you, you little skeletor? What? There is something weird going on with my mouse right now. Get the hell out of here. Let's try that again. Okay, great. So yeah, I was looking at elven ships, and so in here I've got the Star Moth, which used to be called Mana War, and the Flitter, which existed in Spelljammer already. But the way that I've got a Flitter built right now is it's 50 feet long, and the Flitter in the actual Spelljammer 2nd edition is the Flitter I have is 15 feet wide, 50 feet long. And not counting wings. And then the one that's in the 2nd edition, it's 5 feet wide and 20 feet long. So, what I'm actually thinking of is a warbird, apparently. So, my intention, once this book is done, is to create ship plans and tokens and deck plans, tokens, and stuff for the Monarch class of Elven ships, which are the 500-foot carrier capital ships, and they have flitters that are on deck. And if I have flitters that are 20 feet, 5 feet wide, 20 feet long, or fitting inside of a 20-foot space, the math actually works out for the amount of flitters that were purported to be on these carrier ships, 40 or more. And so I can actually accommodate that if they're the actual size of flitters being 20 feet in size, like a 20-foot space. That actually works out perfectly. So that means I need to rebuild what will now be a warbird and make it less butterfly and more well, whatever that is. So that's what we're going to work on Saturday. That'll be our Saturday workbench. I'm just going to keep working on this current endeavor here. Because this has to get done regardless of whether a flitter is a warbird or not. But I'm really happy. This is another good example of why slow cooking a project is not bad. I know if I was working on a completely original idea, I couldn't do it wrong, but the longer you cook, the more logical your work can get. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody. Let's do that. What does this button do? I don't think it does anything good. Nope, that's the wrong button, buddy. And that's not horrible. We can just smooth it out a little bit. I'm making this more. This in particular, I'm making this more than what it actually is. So let's just finish this up, smooth out the color, and move on to the next piece. I don't think there's any real gains to be had here. I'm not 100% convinced yet. There we go. Working that into the canvas. Yeah, that works. Is it working out? Yeah, that feels like it's working out. Cool. All right, we'll leave it at that. I think I'm content with that. Oh, I dropped the frame a little bit. Yeah, that feels good. Oof, what's up with the hard edge? There's some ugliness going on inside this piece. Turns out I do need to work on it. Oh, I see what that's supposed to be doing. Yeah, I think I can probably integrate that better. So let's integrate that better. Let's grab a tool that we want to use, a chisel of some sort. Perfect. Let's work that into the canvas a little bit more so it feels a little more natural in this terrain instead of this just feels glued on here. And it is. That's very poorly designed. Fix it. And we can fix it in a timely manner. It's got this smooth, worn down look, but I don't think that's necessarily the best look. There. I'm going to build some grit and texture. There's some great moss growing on rocks outside my door. And that stuff looks rough hewn. I don't want to be here. Don't need that. Do need this. Let's take that. Yeah, let's do that. Nice. just this choppiness, just gritty texture, just breaking up the tarmac that we have built into here. I love the word tarmac. It's such a great word. Basically just means ground covered with moss or underbrush. T-A-R-M-A-C. Texture doesn't necessarily have to make sense as to, like, why. It just has to feel right. And breaking up surfaces here along this rocky coastline feels right to have this grittedness going on here. Helping get things properly in place. I'm going to be back at lunchtime today. We're going to continue working on the Eberron Spelljammer campaign that I've been putting together. I am very excited about that. We're making good ground on the type of tech that we're building out here. There we go. That feels pretty good. Yeah. Add that in there. Get those rocks in place. That feels good. That feels really good. I like that. Why is this not registering? just a little bit. There we go. Cool. Okay. Yeah, it feels a lot better. Cool. All right. I think that's okay. Let's take a look at the document. Just went through that. That's the new page. Here. That's page 12. Cool. Okay, so let's clear this out of the way. So we're going to call this page 10. It's actually 11. There. Damn it. Not what I was trying to do. It's a TIFF file. Good. Trash. Keep. And trash. Actually, this is trash too. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do for this section, this is the first section. The next thing that's going to happen, once I finish processing through all the bits, we will come back through and tear out each individual illustration from these docs and convert them all into PNGs or TIFFs. And then we'll drop them into the page. So, good job there. After equipment and ships is combat. And why isn't combat nestled away and done? I must have forgotten something. What did I miss here? Oh shit. Alright, well, we'll have to get to this when we get to this. Crap, okay. Open. 20, 21, 22. Trash, done. $13, $14, $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20, $21, $22, right, and then $23, $24, $25, $26, $27, $28, $30, $31, $32, $33, $34, $35, $36, $37, $38, $39, $40, $41, $42, $43, $44, $45, $46, $47. Where is page 47? There we go. Okay, so page 47. Yeah, this is where we're at. So that's page 44. Correct? Page 45. Cool. This page is already done, so we're good here. How are you looking? We'll get to you. 44, 45. Let's do that. 41, 42, 43, 44. 41. Oh my god, that looks so fucking good. I forgot I did this. Oh, that's a great fucking painting. Wow. How are you looking? You're already chock full, so you're good. And you've already got everything going on over here too, so you're okay. And you're already full, so you're sitting pretty. What a great picture. Oh, man. $37 to $40. Yeah, I don't feel like I need to drop stuff in on the edges here because that page is okay. Is it 37 to 40? Is that what we're looking at? 37 to 40. Cool. So yeah, that one is done. I can be content with this one as well, though I am not happy with these tokens. So I'm going to come back through and probably fuck around with those for a while. This one is done. I know that. How you doing? I already finished that page. Ooh, corner opportunity. Okay, yeah. go. TXT. 7 o'clock. We're doing good. I'm gonna grab a sip of coffee here. Smudgy brush. Thank you. So I think we're going to be rebuilding that warbird on during our Saturday workbench. We'll be done with Lyzaraxis, I think, Saturday. Yeah, so we'll spend... how are we looking? I know you can't see a lot of this calendar. So by Saturday the 11th, we'll be done with Lyzaraxis, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll have 9 days for us to integrate Zaraxis, and then all the tokens and stringing up the hyperlinks. I think it can be done. And if I'm off by a few days, it'll be only a few days. So we're now at, what, D6? D6 plus 7 days at this point? That would be, how long would that be? D6. Sweet. Yeah, it'd be the 20th. D6 plus 8 is 20th. So yeah, we're going to continue building the Spelljammer campaign for Eberron. We're going to do that at lunch. So like, subscribe, get notification that when we're live. Tonight we're going to continue working on Eberron tokens. for the different random creatures and predetermined challenges that the team will face in that adventure. So you can check that out this evening as well, especially if you are an Eberron enthusiast. Love to have you. Oops, putting that all in. Good. And nice. I don't think I need things over here. I think it's okay to stay square. Yeah. Grab a chunk of this. Select filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Filter blur, Gaussian blur. Where would we go from here? Let's just grab up these. There. Filter, blur, blur. Gaussian blur some more. You know what? Nah, they're good. Grab that and fade it. Merge back in. Grab that. Cut, paste, and fade it. Merge down. Cut, paste. Bring it down a little bit closer. And fade it. There we go. There. Good enough. Good. Ah, my face. Blech. Let's save there. I'm working from the front to the back or the back to the front. Hey Coco, how you doing? Guten Morgen. We're doing page dressing and touch-ups on illustrations. We're here, we're sliding backwards, so 33 through 36. Grab a sip of water while this loads up. We added a page, so I have to change all the page numbers. I mean, I don't have to. I could just remember that I did that, but why wouldn't I properly label things if the labels change? So, 36. Let's see. I'm looking to see if there's corners and gaps that I want to fill in with flotsam. And this is a pretty thorough page, so I don't have to fuck with that one. This one's already integrating the sidebar here fairly effectively. I'm noticing some discoloration. So I wanted to here. I wanted to jump back into this page here for just a minute left. I think I can, I'm picking up a discoloration here between the frame and the sky that we've painted in, so I wanted to blur those lines a bit. Not the best illustrations I think I've ever done. They can't all be natural 20s.
It might be the framing, the mask layer I used to frame this might be what's off, but I think that did a decent job. Wasn't heavy lifting, but that's what I needed to do. So I'm okay with that now. These are different mounted weapons that we have. Mounted weapons are small scale. They fit in 5 feet. They have a fast reload, but they don't do a lot of damage. They're anti-personnel weapons, except for the Eldritch Cannon here. You can ramp it up by spending spell slots. You can ramp up the damage by a multiplier of 10 per spell level spent. Otherwise, as a caster level with cantrip capability, you've got basic mounted weapon damage. Notice here that 17th level of the when you get proficiency bonus plus 6, that's 5d8. 5d8 is effectively the same as 1d4. So by the time your character's in the last tier of play, then you're basically doing cantrip. You're basically doing spell slot damage with your cantrips. So, and then you got harpoon flingers from Descent into Avernus, which are never more than just the 2d8 piercing damage that they do, as listed in the Descent into Avernus book. But that's where we lifted these from. So we have anti-personnel weaponry versus the larger siege weapons. Here we go. Siege weapons, right, which require multiple crew. The gift cannon specifically requires the pilot to order command for the cannon to fire, because it has we actually have to rotate the ship around because of the way that it's built. It can't be on a turret. Like, you know, almost any other weapon on the ship can be on a turret for you to be able to justify changing angles and stuff during combat. But the gift cannon, there's the role of the siege commander, which isn't the pilot, but is ordering crews of siege. It's ordering crews of NPCs to load, aim, and fire siege weapons during a round of combat. And you can freely mix roles, so a pilot can also be a siege commander, but normally a pilot would be probably investing their attack actions into melee combat if you're close enough to do so. But with the gift cannon, it doesn't have any melee weapons. So, and that, since the cannon itself can't reorient its direction on its own, it requires the pilot to also be the siege commander for that particular weapon. None of the other ones are like that. So I think that's a neat, fun piece. We got ballistas, mangonels, and trebuchet. They do scaling. They do increasing amounts of damage, d4, d6, d8 times 10, and have a larger crew quantity necessary to do so. 3, 5, and 7, and of course they're larger and more hit points and stuff as you go. But the crew is the reload score. So on your command die, using proficiency dice for your command die. If you're a 9th level character, rolling a d8, and you've got and then of course the crew, the rank of the crew reduces the reload score. So if you have a 3rd rank crew as a 3rd rank commander at 9th level using a d8, that d8 is, you have to roll the rank. You have to roll the reload score minus the rank of the crew to be able to fire the weapon again more than once per round. So that ballista would be dropped down to the minimum 1, so it becomes as easy to fire as a harpoon flinger for your crew, so you can just crack off shots over and over again. But again, it's only doing d4 damage, so it's going to be significantly reduced. But with a reload score of 1, you could, like on this ballista, this gift bombard ship, it's got the main cannon. But it also has 2 ballistas, and it's got 3 harpoon flingers. And with a 3rd rank, well, even with a 2nd rank crew, 3 minus 2, the ballistas get reduced down to 1. So you could effectively fire both ballistas together with a reload score of 2, 1 plus 1. Or you could fire 3 harpoon flingers, 1, 1, 1, which could be total up to a reload score of 3 between the 3 of those. Or you could fire the 3 harpoon flingers and the 2 ballistas all together for a reload score of 5. On a d8, you've basically got like a 50-50 chance of being able to reload those at any given time. If you're just doing the 2 ballistas, that's a 2 on an 8. You're most likely going to be anything that's not a 1. You're going to be able to, on that d8, you've got like an 85% chance of being able to fire that shot off again. So that's 2d4 times 10 damage that you would be dealing, with a high chance of success, which is effectively the same as a trebuchet doing d8 times 10 damage, but its reload score is significantly higher. But if you get to, like, say, 13th level, where you're rocking a d10, and you've got a 4th rank crew that you're backing up, that 7 becomes a 3. You could potentially have 2 trebuchet fire together for a reload score of 6. On a d10, that's a 50-50 chance of you being able to successfully fire 2 trebuchet at the same time. So that becomes 2d8 damage, where at second and third tier, firing 2 ballistas together was pretty reasonable. At 4th and 5th tier, firing multiple trebuchet together becomes reasonable. So what your character is capable of firing more than one attack per round is scaling with the level of the character is, which means you can take on bigger, badder, and more threats. So what happens if you harpoon into another ship and then drive your ship really fast in the opposite direction and you try to tear it apart via harpoon pulling? If you were to do that, you would use a tether. So hold on real quick. Let's go find you tethers. We have different types of ammunition. One second. Ammunition, here we go. So bolt ammunition, we would have towing cables. They increase the reload score because it takes a while to be able to hook up a harpoon flinger or a ballista that's got a giant rope or cable attached to it. But yes, if you were to use a towing cable, then it would be when you deal damage using this ammunition, the target is grappled as though the ammunition is a piercing ram with a reach equal to the length of cable. And then when you grapple, you can automatically drag your opponent as you can with normal grappling rules in 5th edition D&D at the 5-foot scale. If I successfully hit you with a few towing cables, the target ship is going to have to break free of each of those tethers to break the grapple. So you could have multiple towing cables from multiple ships hitting the same target, and then if the amount of weight that those ships combined can tow, and the ship is within that weight capacity, then yeah, you can drag the ship, and and then the pilot or crew aboard the targeted ship would have to spend action economy cutting the tables, or cutting the cables, or get dragged along. And yeah, so you can drag things. You can potentially slam things into cliff, like into rocks if you're dragging them, and you angle your ship so that you can slam them into stuff. Yeah, you can absolutely do that stuff. Hey, cat. The trebuchet is trebucket. It's the turducken. The turducken of siege weapons. Nice. But yeah, so yeah, absolutely. You can tow people. You can drag them around with you. There's different types of grappling weapons. There's grappling claws. There's tentacles. There's piercing rams. The slashing ram does more damage when you charge, and the bludgeoning ram scuttles when you hit with a bludgeoning ram. If you're ramming with a bludgeoning ram, if it's a normal attack, it's just like hitting with a mace or a hammer. It's just bludgeoning damage. But if you're charging first, 500 feet for is that 500 feet? I won't look it up right now. I think it's 500 feet for a vessel that's more than 50 feet in size, and it's 50 feet. It might be 1,000 and 100. I'll have to check on that. But yeah, if you charge and you hit, rams normally do double damage. You have to use your movement, and then you use your attack, and then depending on what kind of ram it is, like normally it's double damage, but like a slashing ram, it's just like a giant scimitar blade. So it does triple damage on ram. A bludgeoning does double damage, but it also automatically scuttles your ship. And when you scuttle a ship, the pilot has to make a saving throw. If they fail the saving throw, everyone on board the ship takes damage as though they took falling damage equal to a number of 50-foot spaces that the ship occupies. So if you scuttle a 150-foot long ship filling 3 50-foot squares, everyone on board effectively is going to take 3d6 falling damage unless they use a reaction to brace for impact, in which case they'll take no damage, but that's going to eat their reaction. So you can do that. Slashing ram is triple damage on a successful ram. A piercing ram deals double damage on hit and automatically grapples the target. And and then and whenever you ram, you can choose to end your movement adjacent to the target, or you can hit and bounce off of it a bit. But if you hit and you're adjacent, like a ram attack, if you hit a bludgeoning ram attack, if you hit, if you have the ram, you get the scuttle for free. But like a ship with a slashing ram could hit and could scuttle your ship as well, but it would require a bonus action to do so. But unless you have equipment that allows you to grapple, then you wouldn't be able to use a grappling action. But there's so many things in this ship, in this book, that lets you grapple. It's a pretty common tactic. I used to pronounce it like that. You two play nice. But yeah. Towing cables on rams. There's damage reduction. Wizard of the Coast, in their efforts to keep things as simple as possible, they use a damage threshold system in Descent into Avernus, which is if you deal at least 10 damage to a truck, you'll do full damage to that truck. If you can get over the threshold, then all the damage is taken. But that math gets really wonky really quick with the scale of ships and the amount of damage that you're doing. So we use damage reduction. You're either going to have 0 damage reduction up to 20 points of damage reduction. So the piercing bolts ignore damage reduction when you use this type of ammunition. It's expensive, but it doesn't take any. It doesn't fire any faster, but it's useful. Like loading, like a metal ship, like a Scorpion Craft or a Night Spider has damage reduction of 20, and a ballista only does D4 times 10 damage. So you're either going to do anywhere from 0 to 20 damage with a ballista when you hit with it. So you either need to have multiple ballistas firing together. If I fire 3 ballistas together doing 3d4 times 10 damage, it's going to be up to 120 damage as one hit. A round of fire, like a silo of fire from multiple weapons, is counted as one attack and deals one source of damage. So multiple weapons can overcome damage reduction on ships, but the amount of damage reductions that ships have necessitate thinking about using multiple weapons at the same time, which drives up your reload score, which lessens the amount of attacks that you have per round until you're a high level character. It worked out really well. It requires some subtraction math, and Wizards does everything they possibly can to avoid subtraction math. But the system works better that way than with thresholds. Thresholds just once you start dealing with squadrons with multiple ships under your command, and you're firing multiple ships at the same time, kind of like firing multiple weapons on a ship. You can have multiple ships firing together as a full barrage, and threshold becomes irrelevant immediately. But damage reduction still counts, because if I hit a squadron of ships for 800 points of damage, and there's 4 ships in that squadron, then each one of them can take 200 damage, but then each ship has their damage reduction. So it can go from 200 damage to 180 damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but considering the scale of these ships, like a squadron of ships like that would have potentially up to in a 500-foot square, you can fit approximately 2,000 hit points worth of ship. So, dealing out a barrage of 800 damage, that's distributing down to 4 ships, reducing the damage amount by 80. It's actually about a 10% damage reduction. So you're extending the amount of hits that squadron will be able to take by 1 or 2 hits on average, which extends you out to about 4 to 6 rounds of combat when you have equal amount of firepower on the team. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but that's oh my god. Yep. No, this page is good. We smudged that out, and I think we fixed this already. We better double check. Stones among crew. Day, common, low vegetation terrain. Stones are generally hewn from rock that can be gathered in any environment where bare stone is visible. Mangonels, trebuchets, and gift cannons use the same stone. Trebuchet use twice as many as mangonels, and gift cannons use 5 times the amount. A stone of small to medium rocks requires 1 mile of rocky, low vegetation terrain and 10 days of work, which can be divided among crew to gather. Make a DC 15 strength or constitution check using miners or sculptors' tools to reduce crafting time to 5 days on a success. This is talking about foraging for ammunition. So bolts are generally crafted from wood that can be gathered in a forest or similar environment. A ton of ballista and harpoon bolts requires 100 feet by 20 feet of trees and 20 days of work, which can be divided among crew to carve, making a DC 15 strength or dexterity check using carpenter tools to reduce crafting time to 10 days on a success. So, regarding Spelljammer space combat, sure. If you are far enough away or have enough time, can you shoot incoming projectiles with your own to block them? If the attack is coming in from more than 1 mile away, you literally see it coming from over a mile away. So you automatically can avoid being hit if you choose, or you can automatically allow yourself to be hit if you choose. You could use a reaction to be hit if you choose. You can use a pilot can use a reaction to make an opposed piloting check versus the attack roll, and if you are successful, you nullify the hit. You can dodge it. You can avoid that. You can. I said dodge, but it's not the technical term dodge. The technical term dodge means everything that attacks you is at disadvantage this round. But that's too efficient because there's ballista crews, there's people on deck, and there's the ship itself. And if you're having a dodge action that gives the whole ship disadvantage to be hit, that's too much action economy. So instead, we call it deflect, which is just letting it wing off of you, or like roll with the punch, or just dodge it, or like just slip the hit altogether. But deflect is the term that we chose. That's a reaction. If you, it's at least a DC 15 on your piloting check. It's kind of like an opposed grappling check, basically, or a defense roll, or a saving throw, using your piloting skill as your proficiency bonus. Where if you roll the attack, like if the attack comes in, it's like a third rank commander would be using a D8, plus their rank is 3, so on average it'd be a +7 to the die roll, and on average on a D20, so on average it'd be a DC 18 that the pilot would have to match or beat to avoid taking any damage. So it's not always efficient to do that, but if you can hit the rolls, then good for you. But you shouldn't be fighting like a first, second, third level, like a first, or like a character's up to 5th level. Would, like a 5th level character might be facing something that has like a +7 to hit, but on average it's going to be +3 to hit in the first level 1 to 4, and then +5 to hit, 5 to 8, +7 to hit, 9 to 12. So you're going to have reasonable chance of being able to avoid hits, which is important because you could open with a silo of multiple ships or weapons at a target at the same time as your opening silo, and then you have to spend action economy and time to reset a bunch of silos, or you have to reduce the amount of weapons that you're using so that you're dealing less damage. So that opening shot, having a pilot or a co-pilot holding a reaction to be able to deflect those shots when they come in is actually pretty important. So yeah, but if it's over a mile away, they can't hit you unless you don't know the attack is coming. At which case they have advantage to attack you because they're unaware you're surprising them with a shot. But because it's over a mile away, you're also at disadvantage to the attack. So that washes out to just being a normal attack roll. And when you're a mile or more away, you also have to roll above the perception check of the pilot, the passive perception check. If the pilot sees the shot coming, again, you just slide out of the way and it's going to miss you. So you have to not only hit the armor class of the ship, but you also have to hit equal to or above the perception check of the pilot, passive perception check. So yeah, we have all that stuff is in here, which is why it's 100 some odd pages, because like all the mechanics from combat, spellcasting, and exploration chapters of the Player's Handbook and DMG are pretty much translated inside this book, more or less. We didn't have to translate literally everything because most of it still works on its own. But there's multiple caveats and little nibbly bits that need to be addressed to make everything work. And I don't need to add anything to this one either. So good, this one's good. Here, I'll hit save. That was 33. Let's open up the next one. That was 33. Oh, yeah, we're probably about 10 days out from having this thing published. So we're coming along pretty nicely. Is that what this is supposed to be? 29 to 32. Okay, we gotta fix this. 29. 30. 31. 32. That's okay. This is talking about cover. What you can and can't hit. Siege weapons can't hit things that are smaller than 50 feet in size if they have cover. So like this character here has cover at this deck, so you wouldn't be able to attack her with a ballista. But you would be able to take shots with the harpoon flingers. But the harpoon flingers only do 2d8 damage. If you're firing multiple harpoon flingers together at a target, then it's effectively a siege weapon. So you can't, you protect characters from being singled out by massive damage by implementing this cover rule, because the weapons or the amount of shots heading at a target all have to have a clean shot at them. She was just free floating, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it. If she was off deck and free floating out here, she wouldn't have any cover and you could just shred her. So pushing, like throwing people off deck is an effective challenge if you have a sniper on a ship that's waiting for targets to float by. But like this mangonel, it doesn't have any cover. But these can be considered to have cover because they only occupy a 5-foot space and they're adjacent to railing. But this is too large of an object and it's not adjacent to anything that would provide it with any kind of cover. So like the ship, the ship doesn't have any cover unless it's hiding behind a rock that's equal to or larger than that. So this ballista can easily just shred on the ship as long as it needs. But in addition, counter that, these ballistas here and this mangonel could fire on this spidercraft because it doesn't have any cover either. It could, if it grapples and holds, if it's too small to grapple this ship because this ship is significantly larger than the spider. But if the spider did grapple it, it would be holding on. It can't stop its movement, and any movement the galleon takes would drag the spider. But at the same time, the spider wouldn't be, you couldn't shake the spider free. So it could have a couple of its legs dug into your ship. And it could be using other legs just to keep stabbing away to tear a hole in your ship and eventually rip your ship apart. While it's holding you, these siege weapons it's treated as though it has cover against the siege weapons because it's like mounted onto the ship. You can't hit me. So it's gonna have cover against those things. So these are different ways you can manipulate the rules that already exist in 5e to be able to express these different combat mechanics for large scale ships. And the only difference between a Gundam and this spiderling is that this spiderling's in the shape of a spider instead of a person. So when we build the mecha book, we'll be able to just basically make cool looking robots out of different materials, and then just cut and paste all the mechanics from the spider craft and just drop them into the warframe that we're using. Depending on the size of it, it's going to determine how much damage it does. But that'll be a really, really easy book for us to build once this publishes, to be able to tie that together. And then once the mecha book is done, then we can build out. Do I want to fill this space? This is too narrow here. I don't want to put flotsam down here because it's already close enough to the frame to not warrant doing so. But this is a nice little pocket here, so I'm going to take a look at how this feels if we dump some flotsam into this area. But yeah, building this book was basically creating ships. We had to figure out the scaling first so that we had a smooth scale from 5 feet to 50 feet to 500 feet to 1 mile and larger for not only distance and ranged attacks and damage being dealt. The damage was the big part, making sure that things would scale cleanly, and the amount of hit points that they can take also had to curve smoothly. But once we figured that curve out, we could literally build pretty much anything that we want. It's going over this process for the past year. It's honestly been a shock to me that someone else hasn't figured all this stuff out already. That like I'm the guy that's doing it. That just blows my fucking mind. Like the color mana system, like I can't. Sometimes it's hard for me to grok that like these are things that that I'm doing. Like these are things that are being fed to me, and that feels amazing to be the transmitter of these ideas, you know? It's not like I'm curing cancer or helping paralyzed people walk or anything. It's a very small creative experience, but I like to think that it helps the collective consciousness of humanity recognize if there were to be a noble cause behind all of this to justify me wasting my life on making games. A, it brings joy to people. But B, it's also manipulating our perception on how we think things are supposed to sit. And so I'm actually pretty proud of that. The Kaiju book, since we already have all the mechanics for massive scale creatures inside of here, the Kaiju book is basically just creating examples and DM tips on how to run those kind of encounters. So once the Mecha book is done, then we have the Kaiju book, and now we have Pacific Rim or Robotech. So once the Kaiju books are in place, we can start making notes about the true glory of the giants that Big Me didn't know how to write about. So we can shine on wizards about making better giants. There's Eberron campaign that I've been developing for Spelljammer. I think I might actually make a Kickstarter out of that. I'm gonna let my home table run it as my playtest team for a year, and if it clicks into place and everything runs smooth, then I'll be able to make a Kickstarter out of that. It's a fun interception between 5th edition, Cypher, Index Card RPG, and Shadowfell. Shadow Dark. Sorry, I keep getting the name wrong there. But it pulls elements from all of those things, and I think makes a neat little slurry of reduced action economy, high tension adventuring. 7:40. I still have 20 minutes. Now, does this make sense? It's got a very Planescape sort of feel to it. Like Planescape did little injections like this from the edge of the page into text space, but it didn't use it didn't have an actual frame. It was just little blurbles. But that was what inspired me to do this with the Astral Sea and everything. But the question is always, is it disruptive of the document as a whole? And here, I don't think so. I think I'm okay with this thing like existing. So I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna drop down to here. I'm gonna add in some more stars. There we go. Let's duplicate this. And Yeah, let's merge those down. And then we can make another layer. Oh, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Let's do it like that. Blend those down a touch. Yeah, that feels good. We'll just leave it at that. I could do something up here, but it's so faint. Why bother? You know? And I don't do top down, and I don't do center up. So far, I haven't needed to. I've only just dealt from the sides and the corners. Yeah. See, it actually feels kind of balancing. Okay, cool. Let's leave that at that. We'll lock that one down. Looking again here. Yeah, this is already filling its space well. Here, we've got this little bit down here, and it's large enough. It's more than 3 lines away from the bottom of the edge, so that is a large enough space for us to put some flotsam. And what the fuck is your story? Wow, that is a large pocket of nothing. What are you all about? Was I looking to build a ship in here at some point? It's so... I know. I left it out because it started feeling repetitive just doing ship after ship after ship when I've already done a bunch of ship illustrations. So, looks like I get to put a big pocket of flat... Maybe I'll put asteroids or something down in there, too. Let's see what else is on this page. Reloading weapons. Yeah, maybe have some catapult stones just flitting through the space. That might be okay for us to do. It sounds kind of cheeky and cheap, but I'm kind of into it right now, so cheers. Let's build this one out first. I could cut and paste these things because there are recurring corners that we're working in over and over again, but the size of the space is different. I would just want to handcraft each one to kind of lean into the mercurial aspect of the astral sea, you know? It just feels weird if it were to be the same stock art corner piece over and over and over. Like it wouldn't be interesting anymore. It would no longer be an embellishment. It would just be noise on the page. You know, if that makes any sense. So by handcrafting each one of these, as you go from page to page, it's impossible to not acknowledge these were things that were specifically crafted for this page. And that's the kind of value that I'm attempting to bring into the works that I do. Some of my council of allies that help guide me towards smart decision making because they're friends. There's an argument about, is it worth it to invest all the extra time into the custom artwork that I build from the perspective of an artist versus producing things quicker from the perspective of a publisher? What's the right way to do? less art or less quality art or less original art that's already been made, stock art, to help expedite the process of building the books versus taking the time to build all of the assets for a higher couture design, you know, if that makes any sense. And so far I'm on the couture side of it because I haven't given up being an artist, because I originally started doing this because I want to be an artist. And I'm okay with the idea of transitioning away from that into a publisher, because obviously I'm publishing books. But I don't yet see, like, I've grown a few hundred followers at this point. Mostly, I think, because of, I think the artwork is the gateway that gets people through the door. It's like, oh, what's this shiny thing that Phil's painting right now? It's like, oh, what's he talking about? And then it's like, oh, okay. And then they stick around. I don't know. I don't think that would happen if I didn't lean so hard into the artwork production. I don't honestly know. I won't really have a good sense of that until I'm probably over 2,000 subscribers. The other debate is it worth the amount of time it takes me to produce a pre-generated video that I publish on Sunday? That eats about anywhere from 2 to 4 hours on my Saturday, and Saturdays used to be my biggest production days. But now that production is being eaten up by these YouTube videos that I'm making. And that's, I think the counter argument there is that publishing them on Reddit has, I think, landed me 40 subscribers over the past 2 months. So there's obviously value there, but it's also fickle value because the Reddit subs are all siloed content. So if I post something about Spelljammer, it needs to be on the Spelljammer threads, and most likely that means that only people that are interested in Spelljammer are going to click into it. So what happens if at some point in the future I stop doing any Spelljammer content? Do they just leave? Which is the risk of building an audience this way. I'm not making generalist conceptual videos talking about tips and advice or evergreen content. It's very whatever is relevant to the project that I'm currently working on, which will eventually change. Like, we're going to move into Eberron as my morning project once this is done. So I'm going to be talking a lot less about Spelljammer from now on, but I will be talking a hell of a lot more about Undead and Mabar and other Eberron things that go bump in the day. So am I going to lose a lot of people? I mean, I still have like 5 different Spelljammer books planned. It's just not going to be the main project right now. Not for probably 7 or 8 months. I'll be building Spelljammer stuff like on my workbench on Saturdays, but that doesn't necessarily drive up engagement. So I'm still trying to figure out what YouTube wants me to do versus does YouTube support what I'm trying to do. And I don't know the right answer to that shit. I'm just painting. There we go. Can you tell I'm tired? I have that drawl, like that lazy hang drawl in my voice, where I have enough momentum. I'm basically speaking through momentum. I can once I get the thought going, it'll keep rolling out of me. But the pitch and the variance in my emotional expression is minimized. That is a good sign of me not getting good sleep. This is okay. I occasionally don't get good sleep. I normally don't have a lunch stream on Thursday, but this week I do because I did not have a lunch stream on Tuesday. So we're going to keep working on the Eberron Asteroid Belt campaign, where we're fusing all these different role-playing games together to make something specific for the challenges and the format of the game itself, which I absolutely love. That we can grab so many different like D20 style mechanics from different books to blend together to be able to express the type of game that I want to run without feeling restricted, like, oh, like I have to use like proficiency bonuses from 5e. I don't. I can make, since characters are so less important in a guild campaign. And I have 6 people that are playing in a 1 hour per week game, so I can't use 5e combat. I can't even use Cypher. I have to use basically Beckme or Shadow Dark style combat, where it's basically you get an action and a movement, and if you don't move, you don't get another action. That's basically all you get. Those 2 things: you can act and you can move. And that's the scope of it. But with 6 people at the table, I can still get through 4 or 5 rounds of combat and have time for a different like a social or an exploration challenge in the 1 hour block of time that I have. So a 5-room dungeon, I could kick through a 5-room dungeon with 6 people in 3 hours over the course of like 1 hour a day over 3 sessions. We can get through a 5-room dungeon, which is all I need to do for like when they're delving into an asteroid. Or if they're doing a heist mission, I don't need to have more than like 4 or 5 puzzles for them to figure out as a team during the heist for them to succeed at the goal. But that's a quick enough pace that I can get through a mission every 3 weeks and then do guild stuff on the 4th week. But I guess if it ends up, I guess we'll see how the team likes to play. They may end up extrapolating those missions from my planned 3-week sorties into maybe like 2-month explorations or something. I technically don't have a problem with it. They can just roll in 3 week. The sessions are 1 hour, which is why Shadow Dark resonated, because they're going to be delving into asteroids in the dark. And having Torchlight or something that lasts an hour would mean it would last the length of the session. So we could, like when the session's over, the torch goes out. So you're either going to have to retreat back from the darkness or be ready to light another torch next episode. But the intention is every 3 sessions equals 10 days in game, whether it only takes 2 days for you to complete the mission or 10. But I could theoretically have more sessions within that 10-day block, or I could have multiple 10-day blocks during the course of one mission. I don't have to be so rigid as to be 3 sessions, 3 hours, 10 days, and then we do an update every 10 days to the guild and advance the storyline that way. I could be more flexible in it, but I'm still establishing the base frame of how the game works and what rules I want to implement and how I have those curved together for me to, once I have those in place, I can start playing jazz with it and seeing how the team actually engages with the content, and is that level of refined action in and out of game economy plausible, sustainable, and what level of skill do you have to be able to execute it yourself as a DM? Since you aren't building it from the ground up, you don't have that same intuitive connection with the content, so it might be more difficult for a casual reader to pick up on the improvisational parts of it. So it'll take a little while for me to build that out, but if my team ends up liking it, then I could run a Westmarch style game to the broader public for everyone else to use, like the martial power system that I had been streaming during lunch times until this got into the final pipeline, and that put martial powers on hold But we'll be picking that up again once this book is done, and once we get the Spelljammer campaign up and running for my home table. That will open up space on my workbench to continue working on the Ravnica Rebel Belt campaign for playtesting the martial power system. But my home table had playtested martial powers for about a year from level 12 to 20, and it worked really well. But they're very indoctrinated to my mentality, and everything's the whole thing is framed around how I like to operate. So I have to play test it with people who have no love or experience with games that I run, to make sure that since it's player facing content primarily, since they're character options, then it has to most grok with the players. From the DM side, just some casual DM advice. They basically become variant class features or alternate subclasses that you could choose. So the lifting isn't nearly that heavy for the DM once they just follow some common sense rules that will provide for integrating this stuff into your campaign. It'll mostly be on the players to give me the feels for, does this feel exciting and fun, and would they want to lean in? Like, would they voluntarily want campaigns like this that would contain that sort of content? And if the answers are a majority yes, then much like Wizards of the Coast, it means we're building out good things. But my sample pool is significantly smaller. But who knows? Maybe someday I'll be popular like MCDM Studios are, and I can have a server full of people that are willing to playtest the content and help us build better games. Because the time frame isn't honestly, the time frames would collapse if I had multiple tables that were interested in running my content. I'm just not. I haven't earned it yet, so I have to earn it. Oh my god, 7:59. Okay, well, it is time for me to go. So we're going to pick up on this stuff tomorrow. And I'll be back today in about, it's 8 o'clock now. I anticipate being back in about 4.5 hours for us to do Eberron campaign development. Yeah, later, Cad. Thanks for being here, man. Coco, thanks for showing up. Yeah, but we'll continue. So we'll do Spelljammer Eberron campaign at lunch in 4.5 hours. In about 11.5 hours, we'll be doing more Eberron creature tokens for the Crystals of Mabar adventure that we've been crafting here online. And then tomorrow morning, we'll be back and we'll just pick up on this splotch here. And off screen, after my day job, I'll be continuing to convert the last 3 pages of Liza Araxis. And then, yeah, there you go. And then I'll update you guys about the weekend and next week. So I will see everyone later. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And